My name's Paul Rice, and I help ghosts move on. And I'm going to talk about a recent call I did. It happened to be in West Hartford. My friend Tala let me know that this couple needed some help. They felt attacked and were fighting amongst themselves whenever they were at home. So this was urgent. And so I showed up there. I'd arranged for one other person to help, but she called me up and said couldn't make it. So I was going to be on my own. So it's a house, but it's more like a structure built at the end of the parking lot for someone to live in. Very cozy inside. And the clients told me that 2 people had died there. So I thought, what shall I do first? First thing was check their auras, see if they were attached, hooks, anything into them. And they had some issues, and it was all at the head level and nowhere else. Just by doing my energy stuff, it seemed to be decreasing. So then the next step was to teach them how to shield themselves, and they were excellent learners. And I taught them how to attack me energetically, and I could feel their attack. And so, quick lesson, they did very good. Right, now to work with the ghosts. The first guy I felt, we'd known he'd had a heart attack, where I felt him grabbing his chest and just collapsing, face down, and that was it. He was gone, out of there. So what I was picking up was the emotional trauma of the event. He had moved on. He was up there. He was not a ghost there. So then I went looking for this other guy that had died there. And the first emotional trauma I picked up was of a woman who was looking at this guy, and someone behind her just pulled out a gun and shot him. And so right in front of her face, bang, bullet, blood, dead. And so I picked up on her trauma as well. So next, I tried to feel for the person that had been killed. And I asked the clients, and one of them said, yeah, it feels very humid here. And I looked around and I said, what's behind that door? And they said, oh, that's the bathroom. So it made sense. The person had come out from a shower, and so they were all wet, lots of humidity. And I could feel this guy had come out just with a towel wrapped around him, soaking wet, and there was a woman there, and then a guy arrived, saw him, and just pulled out a gun and shot him. So there was his shock of, suddenly, there's a gun, bang, dead. So that was his trauma. Again, this was not a ghost. He'd moved on as well. So now I moved into the position of the shooter. I'm used to occupying the same space as where an event occurred and opening myself up energetically to feel what's going on. So this is what I do. And I also apply it with ghosts. So I walked into the space and I felt this guy coming into the house, and suddenly another guy comes out only wearing a towel, soaking wet, and I'm not sure what he's thinking, but guy, he pulled out the gun and shot him. Just bang. And again, this guy was not a ghost. Where was the ghost in all of this? So I was able to take out the emotional trauma from these 3 people so that it wasn't still there, kind of threatening the environment of anyone being in that area. It didn't explain why these 2 people were feeling attacked and were fighting amongst themselves whenever they were at the house. Whenever they left it, they were fine. So there had to be something in there. So another thing about what I do is I have great shields up. So when I come in, I have no worries. What I have to do is lower my shields. So flushed off the energy of picking up the emotional trauma, re-entered the house, lowered my shields a bit more, and then I felt there was a ghost up in the air, which is symbolic to me of they don't have a great feel for being physical. So he's up in the air, and what I'm getting from him, I'm getting a headache. It's just at my head level, I'm feeling stressed, attacked, and stuff like that. Nowhere else. All right, so this coincides with what the couple is feeling. And as I continue to try and empathize with him and overlap my energy to get more of a feel for him, I realize this guy is all in his head. In fact, he's a psychopath. I mean, he doesn't care. He doesn't feel for others. And as I'm getting more of a picture, it's like this guy was a drug dealer, just pushing drugs and just laughing his bleep off on these people suffering, and just watching them and stuff like this. So this was new to me. How would I help a psychopath ghost move on? Because just taking him up there seemed like a waste of time. And yet, you know, do all psychopaths stay down here as ghosts? No. So I stayed with him a bit longer, trying some of my techniques. Empathizing just didn't seem to work with him. I thought about taking him to a past life where he hadn't been a psychopath, and he just refused to re-enter that body and feel who he had been. So a bit of a challenge, and I didn't have anyone else to ask. So I thought, okay, let's go for it. Let's welcome him into my body. So now he could feel what I'm feeling, right? So not just into my energy field, but inside my body. And he was amazed, because the first time in his life, except now he's dead, first time in his existence, he could feel. It just blew him away, the intensity of it. It's like if you've ever seen the movie Pleasantville. I mean, it's just black and white until it's not. I mean, it's that intense experience. It was just eye-opening for him. And we got to an agreement that, yes, he wanted more of this, and now that he was dead, he was going to have to ascend up to heaven and go get another life. And he was happy to do this. So, you know, it made sense to him because he was still operating at a mind level because that was his habit. But now he was motivated because he could feel what was going on. And so I took him up there, and there was a lady waiting for him. We weren't expecting anyone to be there for him, but this person did seem to care for him and was there, and she extended a hand and he reached out and grabbed her, and she took him the rest of the way. So that was sweet. It's like, okay, even the psychopath gets to move on. At a soul level, you know, being a psychopath is kind of down here. I doubt there are psychopathic souls. So that was it. Got rid of this ghost, helped the clients, cleaned out the emotional trauma. Another job done in helping ghosts move on. That's it.